Hello everyone. I am Sanjay Mishra, Education Specialist e-learning at the Commonwealth of Learning Canada. We are an intergovernmental organization promoting the use of technology to increase access to quality education and training in 54 countries of the Commonwealth. It is my privilege to speak today on digital transformation of teaching and learning in higher education. And my plan is to provide a bit of context and discuss how digital transformation has become a reality and how digital learning designs and technologies are helping us in that transformation process. At the end, I will highlight the challenges and critical success factors to watch and help improve quality of education and training. I start with a premise that higher education is about research, teaching, and extension. And higher education is about higher in higher education. It is not just about university education, it is about what is higher in higher education. For Professor Ronald Barnett, and I quote, a genuine higher education is unsettling. It is not meant to be a cozy experience. It is disturbing because ultimately the student comes to see that things could always be other than they are. A higher education experience is not complete unless the student realizes that no matter how much effort is put in or how much library research, there are no final answers. Unquote. So, higher education is about quest for excellence, creativity, critical inquiry, exploration of truth, discovery, discussion, debate, and dialogue, and scholarship for development. Teaching, research, and extension activities must focus on these to make higher education what it is. So now let me start with the context of higher education. First, the issue of access to higher education. The world average of gross enrollment ratio in higher education is about 39%. However, in many developing countries, it is much lower. Research tells us that a person with a tertiary education can expect to earn over 50% more than a person with an upper secondary education. Earning advantage of having a tertiary education also increases with age, leading to overall productivity and gross domestic product at national level. Second, the cost of higher education has become high. In many countries, apart from the tuition fees, the cost of educational materials is so high that students prefer not to buy textbooks essential for quality learning. An estimate by The Economist indicates that by 2030, the cost of a 4-year degree would be over 270% of average annual income of one earning member of a family in South Africa. In Indonesia, it would be above 200%. This calls for new approaches to increasing access to affordable higher education. Third, the question of quality of education. I'm not referring here to the issue of international rankings that are primarily based on funding and research. We need to be concerned about employability of our graduates, quality of teaching, funding, and governance. Graduate employability is a major concern in many countries. What is taught in universities are not relevant to the industry needs, and thus unemployment is a major problem. The complex regulatory environment in many countries often create barriers to curricular change and innovation, impacting the quality of education and training. Can technology help? Sometime back, I wrote a book on quality assurance in higher education, where I present an input process outcome model of quality assurance. Measuring quality should be in the context of the difference higher education makes to the input level of the participant. Thus, process becomes significant, and it is where technology can play a very important role. However, the COVID-19 pandemic has shown us that technology is a barrier even in the most developed environments. A study in the University of Stanford showed that about 16% of students had no internet access for 50% of time during the learning process. In India, another study indicated that 40% of students had unreliable internet connectivity. Cost of internet access was an issue for about 30% of learners, while 18% could not access online classes at all. In this situation, are we ready for a change? Is the business as usual approach going to continue? The current trend shows that it would be a blended approach to teaching and learning in most cases. Online learning has really made progress in the last 2 to 3 years, and especially during the COVID-19. The growth in online learning enrollment via the major MOOC platforms is an indication where higher education is heading and how the growth is going to impact conventional in-person teaching and learning in higher education. So, digital transformation is real, and those institutions which are looking forward to surviving must make appropriate investment to remain in business. That would mean moving beyond emergency remote teaching and investing in digital infrastructure and capacities for online learning. Many of those who experienced online learning for the first time may discount it as an as not an effective way forward. But we must also note that emergency remote teaching is not online learning. In 2001, I wrote a step by step guide to online learning, and I think it is still relevant. To become sustainable, online learning must start with needs analysis and understanding learners' requirement to create provisions that are appropriate. As such, a systematic organization and infrastructure for design, development, marketing, and monitoring and evaluation are important to make effective use of online learning. We must also remember that webinar is not online learning per se. Video provides immediate presence and helps build better connection, but it is not that most students are always looking forward to. There are many synchronous and asynchronous tools and technologies that are available for use in online learning environments. So, to provide a holistic learning experience, you must include the relevant tools, be it video conference or online discussion forum. During the pandemic, assessment was one of the biggest challenges for the universities, and investing on developing authentic assessments online that are evidence-based and not necessarily focused on unit and semester examination is critical. Similarly, online education requires digital learning content delivered in multiple formats. Video is one of the popular formats for asynchronous delivery of lessons. Research shows that swapping video for existing teaching methods led to small improvements in student learning, while adding video to existing teaching led to strong learning benefits. It is not necessary that all the learning content needs to be developed locally. There is a huge amount of open educational resources available that can be used in developing and delivering an online course. Teachers must have the skills to find, reuse, create, and remix openly licensed content for creating and sharing with the students through their blended online courses. In reusing the learning materials, it is important to move from just content to course that includes interaction, encourage discussion, and provide opportunities for practice, and also provides feedback to students' activities when necessary. This leads us to the blended nature of teaching and learning. So in future, higher education institutions will see three types of teaching and learning: in person, completely online, and blended. The blending may happen at organizational level, program level, course level, or activity level within a course. Traditionally, courses with about 30 to 79% of online activities or components are considered blended courses. In delivering teaching and learning with technology, it is important to focus on instructions before technology. Instructional technology before information technology. Now let me focus on some learning design considerations. We can categorize the learning technologies available to use for teaching and learning as student interaction with teachers, peers, and learning material at one side, and interaction at individual level with the content and in groups in another. Using these two level of framework, we can have series of tools with us for use in online learning environment. These may be interactive content, use of email, social media, discussion forum, blogs, etc. in the course. As new technologies emerge, we also need to include this in teaching and learning to keep the millennials engaged in higher education. The key, of course, must be appropriate use of technology. Instructional design plays an important role in organizing the learning experiences on the web or internet. An eclectic model proposed by me focuses on the best affordances of the learning theories of behaviorism, cognitivism, and constructivism. This allows you as teacher to decide on the learning content, the nature of learner support, and the learning activities that needs to be included in the course. constructivism. In the ERIC model, we urge the use of digital experience, providing opportunities for reflective thinking, and engaging learners in interaction to help them construct their own understanding and knowledge about phenomena. In developing online environment, it is important to provide a range of tools and resources to help the learner engage with the platform and accomplish his or her own goal. Now let's move to the last part of my presentation. What are the challenges and the way forward? At the Commonwealth of Learning, we promote a framework that is based on three pillars: policy, capacity, and technology. The premise is if we have all the three, implementation of technology enabled learning would be a success. If any one of these is missing, you may not achieve significant impact or return on investment. So we start with a baseline study, development of policies, encourage the use of open source technologies, build capacities in the institutions to develop blended courses, and of course engage with the organization or institution when we are supporting tele-implementation to create an enabling environment where they can leverage the power of information and communication technologies for teaching and learning. We also offer MOOCs on various areas of technology-enabled learning, and there are also many open educational resources developed by us that we encourage institutions to use for their capacity building purpose. We also have two platforms to help build capacities of teachers and students. The Commonwealth Digital Education Leadership Training in Action is for students and teachers to build their capacities and prepare them for the 21st century learning. The focus is on building competencies for understanding digital footprints, create and share digital artifacts, and engage in personal learning networks. The Call Commons platform provides short courses for just-in-time training in a range of areas that help teachers and students develop mastery by engaging with the resources anytime, anywhere. Call's tools and resources can be used by anyone, and I welcome you to explore these platforms and resources. So, as indicated earlier, the future of higher education is blended. Higher education systems will depend on a range of technologies and tools to deliver education in multimodal pathways using micro-credentials. A range of technologies would be in use with a focus on student learning. Now let me turn to challenges and institutional success factors. Interventions of technology use must be aligned to organizational needs rather than using a broad generic approach applied by everyone. You must assess organizational readiness, technological resources, encourage faculty, and put relevant policy in place. Introducing blended learning as a scholarly and transformative redesign process within institution helps in institutionalizing and quick buy-in from the stakeholders. Of course, successful institutions carry out regular evaluations and share the results or lessons learned. Teachers are key in the digital transformation process. Their involvement and buy-in early in the change process are critical. Therefore, the focus must be on continuing professional development of teachers with sufficient time for development of courses. Creating support units to provide pedagogical and technical support help in reducing teachers' fear of loss of control of their environment and promote sharing of digital content created. Many a times, digital transformation may also require rethinking about teachers' workload. While digital transformations are planned in higher education, student as a key stakeholder is normally taken for granted. Many assume that they are millennials and do not need training on the use of ICTs for teaching and learning. In reality, students need orientation and preparation to be ready for learning. They are not necessarily ready for self directed learning and may not have time management skills to be successful in online learning environment. So it is important to help build these skills and provide clear expectation during the course. Especially students need clarification about the nature of assessment and grading to be used. Last but not the least, teachers need to focus on pedagogy and not technology. Learning outcomes must decide what kinds of tools should be used. Instructional designers provide help to utilize the strength of different media and add value to the learning activities. Integrate carefully the blending of in-person teaching before, during, and after the online delivery to make learning meaningful for the students. In conclusion, to make digital transformation in teaching and learning successful, you must remember that learning on the go is a successful plan for failure. Instead, learn to do it right the very first time. Thank you for your kind attention.